Summary of 12 Angry Men by Reginald Rose. As the murder trial comes to an end, 12 jurors go back to the jury room. The crime being charged is murder in the first degree. The judge tells the jury that they must all agree on whether the accused is guilty or not guilty by finding reasonable doubt in their minds. The person being tried for killing his father with a switch knife is a young man from a poor city. As they settle into the jury room, the jurors talk to each other. 7 offers gum and moans about how hot it is. 5 is confused about why the guard locked the room door, and 12 is worried that he will miss his advertising job. The jurors talk about 4's custom-tailored suit, and the foreman tells a story about his uncle, who is also a tailor, and how he once worked on a murder trial where the suspect was found not guilty. The foreman says that years later, it was found that the man was guilty after all. 3 says the hearing could have been over in 2 days instead of 6, and 7 agrees, saying that business about the knife was the silliest story he had ever heard. This young man said he lost the switch knife that he had bought the night of the crime. The foreman tells everyone to get in line, and 7 hopes the process goes quickly because he has tickets to a Broadway show that night. 10 thinks that the dead dad did the right thing by letting his kid run wild, which is what that kind of people do. The group decides to vote right away to find out where they stand. 7 thinks they might already agree. They raise their hands to vote. 8th jury votes not guilty, which means they don't think the person is guilty. 3 is shocked and says that just by looking at the boy, you could tell he was a killer. 8 asks him where to look to find out if a man is a killer. 8th says he voted not guilty because 11 people had already voted guilty and it's not easy to put someone to death without first talking about the trial. 8 tells them that the boy had a terrible childhood and that they should think about the child. 10 doesn't agree. He says the kid got a fair hearing and the jury don't owe people like him anything because they aren't trustworthy. An old guy named 9 comes out against the situation for the first time. He says that no group of people is more or less honest than any other. The window is shut by 11, but 7 wants it to be open. 7 quickly forces 11, who is from Europe and is an immigrant, to open the window again and find a different spot. 3 and 4 tell the boy's story again. As the boy yelled, "I'll kill you," the old man below heard a body hit the floor. He quickly opened the door and saw the boy coming down the stairs. The boy said he was at the movies, but he didn't have his ticket stub with him, and no one could remember seeing him. The woman across the street saw the stabbing from the windows of an elevated train that was going by. 8 questions 10's decision to believe the old man and the woman when he had already said that those people were lying. Juror 3 talks about his own son, who he doesn't talk to much. He thinks that all kids will break your heart by being selfish and disobeying you. 4 and 10 think the kid's past is against him, but 5 says that he grew up in a slum himself. He gets mad because he thinks these comments are personal attacks on him. The jury talk about the murder weapon, the switch knife, and ask that it be brought in because it looks different. 8 says he thinks it's possible that someone else killed the dad with a gun like the one the boy bought. He shows a second knife that is exactly the same as the first one as proof that this is possible. This knife was bought in a store close to the crime scene. 8 wants a vote that is kept hidden. He says he's ready to give up his question and vote guilty if everyone else on the jury comes to the same conclusion. 11 more jurors cast their ballots. There are 11 votes for guilty and 1 vote for not guilty. 3 and 7 are angry that someone changed their vote, which made the jury's discussions take longer than planned. They want to know who did it. 10 stands up for 5 right away, saying that he thought the point of the American system was to protect people with unpopular opinions. That he was the one who changed his mind is 9. Because 8 was brave enough to stand alone and ask them to listen and think about it more, he says, that's why he changed his vote. 2 and 4 are at the water cooler and are puzzled by the phrase, beyond a reasonable doubt. Just what proof do they need to vote not guilty? Do they need proof that the boy is not guilty? To kill time, 3 tries to start a game of tic-tac-toe. 8 tells them it's not a game and stresses that a man's life is in danger. 8 starts to talk about his feeling that the old man and the woman's stories don't make sense. What the jurors think about is how long it takes for an elevated train to go by and how very loud they are. 8 doesn't understand how the old man could have heard the kid yell "I'll kill you" over the train. 3 doesn't understand why the old man would lie, and 9 points out that he is quiet and poor. He thinks the man might have needed attention so badly that he would make himself believe something he wasn't sure about. 9 claims that what he says is true. 8 asks if the kid would yell "I'll kill you" because he is mad or because he really wants to kill his dad. He says that many of them have said that before and have no plans to change their minds. 5 changes his vote to not guilty because he has doubts. 5 people asked if the old man, who walked slowly in court and used canes, could have run to the door. The jury wants to see a plan of the apartment so they can figure out how far the man's room is from the door. The old man said he got to the door in 15 seconds. 8 walks around the jury room like the old man did to imitate his moves. Jury member 2 times as a juror 8 as he moves around the room and acts like he gets up from bed. It only takes 39 seconds. There is a big difference between this and what the old man said, and the jury agree. 3 is very angry and says that 8 did what they did because they felt sorry for the kid. 8 tells 3 that he doesn't care about the facts and just wants the kid to die. 3 charges 8 and yells, "Shut up. I'll kill him," as 2 other people hold him down. "You don't really mean you'll kill me, do you?" 8 asks 3. 4 thinks the other people are acting like kids and letting their feelings get the best of them. 11 says the cool and strong thing about the American legal system is that it tries to make decisions without bias. They also say that juries shouldn't make a legal decision about something personal. There is another vote by the jury. There are 6 votes for guilty and 6 votes for not guilty. The jurors aren't sure if they should say that they can't decide what to do with the case, so that the boy can be tried again with a new group of jurors. They might not be able to agree on everything, but 8 thinks they can. There is a tie vote among the jurors when they decide if the case is over or not. 2 says he changed his mind because 3 was rude and angry while 8 was cool and sure of himself. 4 says that these things don't change the fact that the accused is guilty. 4 starts to make a number of points that disagree with 8's claims. With the same way of time, he shows that the killer could not have run past the old man's door in 15 seconds. The old man might have been wrong about how long it took him to get to the door, but he was probably right about what he saw. 2 and 5 change their minds and vote guilty again. When the jury went to see the crime scene, 11 talks about how dark it was in the apartment building. He doesn't understand how someone running down the stairs could be recognized. 7 really have no doubt about the case? 11 asks. Then he must not understand what reasonable doubt means. 7 is angry right away that someone running away from another country could come to the US and tell him what's right and wrong and how things work. 4 tells 7 to be quiet by saying that no one is asking where they or their dads came from. 2 brings up something about the case that has been worrying him. It looks like the stab wound was made from above, as if the person who did it was bigger than the victim. The boy, though, wasn't. By holding the knife and cutting 8 with it, 3 shows how someone shorter could make a wound that goes down. 8 writes that the boy had been in trouble before for knife fighting and was very good at it. 5 suddenly sees that in all the knife fights he has seen in his life that have happened in a bad area, switch knives are always used in a sneaky way. A knife fighter with a lot of experience would not break this rule when they were scared and angry. 8 shows that the assumption of guilty must be that the kid was smart enough not to cut himself with a knife, but dumb enough to kill his father in front of a train full of witnesses, smart enough to clean his fingerprints off the knife and all the doors, and dumb enough to not come up with a good excuse. Everyone is convinced that these contradictions can't be true except 3, 4, and 10. 10 yells that these kinds of people are never innocent and don't care about other people's lives. As he talks, some of the other jurors get up, walk to the window, and turn their backs on him. 10 is told by 4 not to talk anymore. 4 says he will still vote guilty because of what the woman across the street said. The jury goes over her evidence until they realize she was wearing bifocals and would have had to wake up in the middle of the night and look through a passing train to see the murder happen. Except for 3, all of the jurors vote not guilty. 3 says he's not going to change his mind, and 9 says, to stand alone takes a lot of courage. It's time for everyone to leave except 3 and 8. 3 takes the switch knife from the table and points it at 8. 8 says, not guilty. 3 turns the knife over and gives 8 the handle. Not guilty, he admits.
About the author. Rose was born in Manhattan in 1920 and lived in New York City. He went to City College and he joined the U.S. Army after college and served during World War II. From 1942 to 1946, he worked his way up to the rank of first lieutenant. In 1943, Rose got married to Barbara Langbart. They had 4 kids together. Rose became a famous author as an adult when CBS bought his first teleplay, Bus to Nowhere. His most famous work is the 1954 teleplay 12 Angry Men, which made him famous in the writing world. He won an Emmy for the play, which was later turned into a movie that was nominated for an Oscar and into a story for a live stage production. Rose has also written the screenplay for Crime in the Streets, 1956, the teleplay The Incredible World of Horace Ford, which was used as the basis for an episode of The Twilight Zone in 1963, and the TV show The Defenders, 1961, which won 2 Emmys for dramatic screenwriting. He has also worked with British producer Ewan Lloyd on movies like The Wild Geese, The Seawolves, Who Dares to Win, and Wild Geese 2. He got married again in 1963 to Ellen McLaughlin. He died in 2002.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.